Hi, all. My name's Jason,
And my name is Sarah.
and this is the Posture Podcast. Posture is a boutique consulting firm that helps companies take their great ideas and take their products to market. And so we're excited to be sharing today with you a number of different topics and primarily centered around the idea of cross-selling your products. So you have one product and a customer that loves it and has bought it, and you want to sell them on more stuff. So that's what we're going to talk about. But first,
Well, not so racy. It's earnest. But
Ernest.
first.
But
First we have our
first,
Make It Make Sense segment,
mm,
in which we will take a question that we often get, or that we find very relevant, and kind of explain it and answer it and clear it up. So our first segment will be Make It Make Sense. And the question is, let me look in my inbox. I have it starred. Question.
it's good to
We have
star them. That's great.
four
Best practice. That's the best practice.
best practice. Star it, yes. We have 4 products in the market right now, and my sales team wants to just throw everything out there and see what lands. Is that what cross-selling is about, or are there other things to consider?
Ooh, I love it. No with an if, and yes with a but. Actually, first of all, I gotta say, we kind of have been lucky to have questions that align with the topic of the day. The fact of the matter is, your feedback is also inspiring us to talk about the subject of the day. So we appreciate that. We also appreciate all the questions. So if you want to send in a question, you can send it to info@posture.consulting, and we will feed it into the Make It Make Sense, uh, what have you, the through
Segment.
line or the segment. Yeah, there you go. The bag of tricks. So I said no with an if, yes with a but. The reality is, what you want is you want to get all of your products into market, and you want your sales team to be selling it as much as they can. That is very true. They are right about it. And the second they start trying to do so, they're going to create another headache for you, because nothing necessarily, unless you start off with a product portfolio, pricing strategy, and all that stuff that's perfectly aligned, your sales team is going to immediately appreciate the fact that things aren't matching up, and it becomes difficult to have a conversation when this widget over here is twice the price of this widget over here, and the third widget really doesn't address the customer who might buy the first two.
Mm-hmm.
So where the strategy comes in is not so much, do we get stuff out there? That answer is, of course. It's, how are you going to get stuff out there? And there's 3 basic things. Like every good go-to-market strategy, you want to be thinking about them. First one is target audience. So the product has to address the same problem sets, not the same exact problem sets, but the same buyer and the problems that they're having. It makes sense for me to buy a second product if it's helping me solve another problem that I have. It may be a day-to-day problem, so I've invested in this piece of software, or I'm using this particular app because it's helping me do a particular piece of the job. That second problem, or yeah, that second product, whether or not it's a problem, should be addressing another problem that they have. It's that second thing that I'm doing. So thank you for that. Now I'm doing this. I'm doing finance, so I've got a spreadsheet thing. I've also got a payroll product. Those things make sense together. And as a salesperson, I can address the same buyer, or at least get a quick introduction to the other buyer in payroll, and be able to make inroads with them and potentially buy them. So that's the first question, is who's buying this product, and do they have really adjacent problem sets? So you know that they're those conversations make sense. If it's a product that has nothing to do with the thing that they originally bought, the conversation becomes much more difficult, because you may even be educating them about the problem, or trying to figure out who does what, how they buy, what their budgets are, and stuff like that. So the degree to which you can say with the same buyer just makes life easier.
Yeah. It
I
needs to
think,
be contextual and relevant. to
Yes.
your audience
Contextual and relevant.
and their needs. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Yeah, exactly. And so product cohesiveness is the second thing that I'm thinking about there. Do these things work together, or do they conflict with each other? Sometimes you'll have two different tech products in particular. I'm on a tech streak, uh, and they use AI in very, very different ways that could be jarring to the buyer. And so, I'm thinking about a product we launched a couple years ago in which they were literacy products. The first product which was their flagship, didn't actually have any AI or personalization, machine learning, or any of those things in it. It was a reading program that worked for kids who were fourth grade through 12th grade. Okay, great. Buy that. Good product. We loved it. We then came out with another product that addressed kids who were kindergarten, first grade, and it was completely AI driven. It was amazing, best in class technology and all this other stuff. The thing that drove us all crazy was, first of all, what were the kids in second grade supposed to be doing? But also, how do you tell that story
Mm.
where we've got this best in class AI product and we're casting shade on every other kindergarten, first grade product out there that teaches reading with anything less than AI or machine learning or anything like that? And then, oh, by the way, buy this advanced product that doesn't use any machine learning. And it's great that it doesn't. You don't want machine learning in a product anyways. It's like this impossible story to tell. So we
Yeah.
didn't end up telling it. That was one in which we just were like, this is too hard. Let's wait on product development to catch up. Let's wait. We could go a few cycles before this one goes. So we introduced it to the elementary schools as its own thing. We introduced the other product to the high school students as its own thing. Neither the twain shall meet, and we didn't have to talk about the differences between the use of AI or the differences between pedagogy and all this other stuff that teachers and school districts are concerned about. So that was thing two. How cohesive are the products? If they use the same technology, or maybe they just have the same outlook or perspective on how to work, simplicity, ease of use, color scheme, anything that you can create commonality between these two sets of products, that makes sense. And cross-selling them, that story becomes much, much easier. Do we want
Yeah.
the salespeople to be selling the foundational reading product? Of course we did. Did we want them to be selling the advanced reading class or product? Yes, of course we did. Did we force feed a conversation between those buyers and the two different products and put them into a product comparison that would have been disadvantageous to us? No, we did not. We did not do that. And the last one, and there's all sorts of variables you can think about. But in that cohesiveness and context, Sarah, that you just mentioned, the other big one is bundling and pricing.
Mm.
When you're thinking about cross-selling things, how you price needs to make sense. You
Yeah.
never want to take your anchor product, your star product, for which you are commanding, $60 a month for, and put it into a cross-sell situation in which you're charging $7 a month for something else. That doesn't make sense. So do your homework around pricing and accelerating that price point. You want to motivate sales. You always want to motivate your sale towards your highest priced, most profitable product. And so anything you do to introduce a product into a cross-sell scenario in which you are undermining the pricing and the margins of that wonderful flagship product, you have a real problem, and you do not want to do that. And as you guys know, for those of you who are salespeople on this call, I apologize. Salespeople are always going to look for ways to discount down to the cheapest product to make that sales product easier. They're not going to want to increase the lower price product. So you need to come up with a strategy around bundling and pricing and discounting that makes sense, but ultimately motivates. You got to get people to your most profitable product, paying the most you can. And that's a real trick with cross-sell and upsell. So it's thinking through those kinds of things. So does it make sense? Is it just throwing a bunch of stuff out into the market? No. If you take time to go through those kinds of criteria and really think strategically about how you're going to package price, how well these things fit together, and who you're going to sell it to. It's
Mm.
also a yes, but you need to make sure that you're insulating the price of your higher priced, better margin product so you're not undermining it. You also need to make sure that you've got a rational reason why those products are different. And you also need to know who the buyer is. And if it's a different buyer, know how to get them, get
Yeah.
to that buyer, whether it's a referral or an introduction or any of those things. So that's the way I'd say it. Yes and no. How do you like that? Took a long time just to say maybe, but that's what you get. That's what you get.
I mean, that's kind of a perfect answer to
Thank you.
go into the marketing side eye. This is where
Side
we get a
eye,
little
side
attitude.
eye, side
A little
eye,
side.
side eye. A little bit of that.
My marketing side eye, especially for this subject, is what for free apps, what in-app purchases really mean, and also when a company provides a free product and then decides to move it to a paid plan like CapCut, and their move towards putting some really key features behind a paywall. So for the in-app purchases, my real life example, and Jason was making fun of me for this, which I don't know why, was gardening apps. I am obsessed with gardening right now, and
it's
I
because your
decided
hands are so dirty, and then you're picking up your phone. Okay, go ahead. It's the constant
and
garden hose washing. That's
yes, and I found out that all these free apps with the in-app purchases were giving me information on the free portion that I could just Google. They weren't really helping me. The AI wasn't doing anything for me unless I purchased it. So they were ended up being useless. And then also weather apps. I'm trying to find out if it's going to rain. I need to know if I need to water my garden. I need to know if I need to put some shade over them. And all these free weather apps want me to pay to look at the radar. They show me the radar that has happened, but they don't show me the radar that is coming. And I need to know what's coming. I already know what happened. Those are frustrating. But then there are apps that are useful, that are free, but they still have in-app purchases that are worth it. Can't really think of any right now, but I know they exist.
they must.
They
must be
must.
out there somewhere.
They must.
Pay by chapter, perhaps, like that one free book you get. Then you have to pay for the chapters.
Yeah.
No, that doesn't happen. I don't read much. I mean that the paywall like positioning thing is a real challenge. And I think I was giving you a little bit of a hard time because it's really funny that I mean the Farmer's Almanac, I mean you could read the whole thing and maybe figure out what the future is going to be, but that where you take an app and you sell a promise or you sell a capability and then you absolutely do not deliver on it, that's when it's a problem for me.
Yeah, when you sell it as free, when you advertise it's free, and then
you can't do it.
It's not real. The useful parts of it are not free.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's
it's extremely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's extremely annoying. And I think, companies need to make, I mean, if you have an app, you got to learn how to make money. You got to figure out how you're going to do it. But I think whatever your core value proposition, it's important to maintain that. Sarah, you mentioned CapCut. I think basically everybody uses CapCut at this point. But obviously CapCut is that video editing app, which I use, unfortunately. Not for TikTok, mind you. You'll never find Although maybe I should post some videos of me dancing. I think that'd be hysterical. But my point is that, it ties in. You want to be able to make a short. You want to be able to post it to TikTok to TikTok. You can do that. And you've always been able to do that. But I think we may have talked about this already. For the last year, basically, they have been introducing incredible amounts of AI. And as they do so, they've been taking small little bites of it, making it free. And then the majority of the feature is a paid feature. You have to buy the standard, or you have to buy the pro, or you have to buy whatever the business e-commerce version of the product. They've actually gone from a free app to one in which there's a pretty growingly complex set of packages that you could buy.
Yeah. And
Fine, great.
One of the appeals that users would and creators would talk about is that, I'm using CapCut and it's free. It's all free. That has obviously stopped. Social creators don't do that anymore. And also, CapCut is made there, like you were saying, it's not just a free plan and then a pro plan and then a teams plan. You have a standard plan that you have to pay for, which makes a significant amount of these features that should be free, that were free, behind a paywall now. And what it also does is it leaves this space in the market now for their competitors to enter. I have now stopped using CapCut and I use Edits now because that's free.
It's all free.
So just
there's apparently no like free weather app.
No. Yeah. Well, I mean, there is, but it's very basic, and I find that it's wrong sometimes. And you'd be surprised how contradictory each of these weather apps are. That drives me nuts too. Anyway.
Yeah, it's funny because I think, one of the things, and we'll probably do many episodes about product market fit and how whether or not a product or a feature is a really, really good match for your potential buyer. Like, am I hitting on it? And one of the classic questions is, you have product market fit if you take it away from people and they get pissed. And I think that's the thing. That's the thing that gets me probably most about what's, if you read Reddit about CapCut right now, we were just talking, Sarah, mentioning all the various packages and stuff like that. Can you do the core value proposition? Yes. Is there strong product market fit for all of their AI features? Yes, because people are getting really upset that they're now being moved to a paid package. So as a product marketer, what do you do with that one? I mean, is the product market fit for the weather app actually being able to see the future radar? Probably. And are they right to monetize that? Probably. Do they risk, turning off customers like you, Sarah? Yeah, in a big way, because that value proposition probably isn't strong enough. With CapCut, are they at risk from turning people away? Yeah, you went to Edits. There are lots of other apps that are making this thing free. So is it reasonable to say that there's huge amounts of product market fit for their kinesthetic text or their motion grading or whatever it is, click together, build a block, Lego editing system that they have, not an actual feature. Huge product market fit for that. Do they have a little bit of risk from Meta? Yeah, they have a significant bit of risk. Are people going to continue to use that? I don't know, because the second piece of it is Meta's 100%, the Edits is 100% free and connected to Meta's platforms. CapCut connected to TikTok. That was their benefit for a long time. So it's interesting. They do need to figure out how to stand alone. But it's an interesting challenge. And I completely agree with you that I think poorly placed free paywalls or charging people for a free app when the free part doesn't deliver on the reason for the app itself, I think that's like a total flaw. Flaw. Horrible.
Yeah.
So any closing thoughts on that one?
No, No,
No,
I
I'm gonna
feel
leave it.
I feel like I have vented thoroughly.
The eye has been sided and now is facing forward again. We have totally sided eye. Okay, folks, here we go. This is the exciting part. I think we have a lot of fun with the first two segments, but here's where it gets serious. And if you're enjoying what you're doing, please be sure to like, subscribe, follow, hire. Oh, can we say that? We could say that. I mean, you should hire us. But comment. We'll give you a question here. Here's your comment. What is the most annoying freemium paywall that you've ever come across
Ooh,
in an app that you've
yes.
used? If you've got one that just kind of really chaps it for you, put it down there in the comments. But otherwise, go back to hiring us. Okay. So very exciting. Can't wait to see what people are going to come up with. Like, just be careful. It's also about you and your personal brand. So maybe the cat petting app, maybe that's not the one where maybe that, don't mention that app. Do something
There
really
is an
important though.
app that like translates meows, or at least uh okay, so I was dog sitting once, and this
And you
dog was
needed to
was
talk to the dog.
really and well, I tried to. He had been previously abused. When his owner is home, he loves me. He'll run up to me, jump on me. But when she's not home, he just sits in his crate and growls. And I can't leave him out of his crate to eat, so I have to be there while he eats his food. And so I tried one of the apps, and I was like, okay, translate in barking language.
What, by breed, or does it all just dogs?
You know what? I don't know. Maybe that's why he didn't understand it, because I would be like, tell this dog I'm trying to say I'm a safe human he can eat. And then I would, press it and it would bark, hopefully saying that in that language. It didn't work. But
Cultural nuance is important to us, when in any language, right? In any language. So tell
I
this
mean, I
dog I'm a
tried. I
safe
tried
human to
everything.
eat. Tell the dog I'm safe to eat. No, there's a nuance probably.
I didn't think about
There's a
that.
there's a nuance.
Maybe. Oh, he was like, that's just too big of a bite.
I can't handle that. The thing that was really super annoying about the app, aside from it apparently not working, is that you had to upsell in order to speak to cats, and that's just not for me. Not for me. I'll just go with the dog. The dog. Unfortunately, my dog, knows every word he needs to know, which is the sound of the refrigerator drawer opening and cheese being pulled out. Then he doesn't need to know any more English than that. Okay. Enough of this tomfoolery. As I started to say, like, subscribe, comment, follow. The topic of the day. So we've got a couple thematic things going on around cross-sell, upsell. So our topic of the day actually is some best practices, and we want to share a tool that we particularly love to use. Some best practices around cross-selling and upselling. Mm-hmm. Now, I will own right at the top of this that for today, we're really going to focus on business-to-business sales, enterprise sales, stuff where you're selling large tranches of stuff, software packages, licenses, maybe, beach balls if you have a beach company, those kinds of things. Obviously, direct selling to consumers, or, e-commerce upsells, there's a whole set of strategies to that. And we'll have plenty of time in the future to talk about that. But today we wanted to really align potentially with account-based marketing, but really focus on B2B sales specifically. So there's a couple of things, and we'll talk first of all just some general thoughts on strategy, and then, as I said, we have a tool that we want to share. Okay, so
I love the colors.
Yes, that's right. They're posture colors. Fuchsias, I think. Actually, the fuchsias, the flower, is what we adopted for our logo colors.
Fuchsia. So when real quick side note, when I was looking for a wedding dress and we were trying to find colors, the woman who was our like my dresser or whatever for wedding dresses, I'm not sure how to say that, was very not educated on colors. And um, she kept saying not fuchsia, but uh, fucasa,
Few,
she'd say.
few
And then she'd say, instead of uh, Bordeaux, she would say Bordeaux.
Bordeaux.
Yeah.
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 There you go.
Yeah.
Product market fit is where you say the right word.
Yeah.
That's when it's actually Bordeaux. Um, Thank you for that. So
Yeah.
we we want to talk. First of all, just kick off with we have kind of 5 things we like to think about. Best practices in general when we're talking about B2B sales. So, and that sets up our the tool that we want to talk through. So the question becomes not that much different from the make it make sense question that we got. Um, this one is, how do I cross sell better? What are some 5 basic things to be thinking about when you're doing some B2B sales? And the thing that I always think about for this context is, I've got a relationship at a particular company. I've been successful selling them. It could be anything from hardware to services, software, anything like that. It's not necessarily have to be a long standing relationship, but perhaps one in which you have had some success, have some relationship that you can leverage. We actually use these practices all the time in our consulting company. It's all about developing that relationship and then leveraging that relationship, not necessarily in a negative way, but to provide more value. How do you like that? Provide more value to our clients. So there's a couple of ones. Some of them are really super straightforward. The first one is go through. And it kind of sounds like you're driving a car and you're going to take out your client. Actually, what I meant by that is go through your champion. We all know that once you get someone who really likes the product, they want to buy it. Maybe they're the budget holder, maybe they're not. You have an opportunity to use them as your champion on the inside of the company to really kind of build a relationship, create some momentum behind the sale. And so the basics is always, 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 if you're going to cross sell or you're going to upsell, you want to go through your champion. You want to make sure you have that good relationship. Send them cards on the holidays, give them company swag whenever you can, buy them
Like
coffee when you're in town. What's that?
like the posture cup.
Yeah, it's the posture cup. That's exactly it. Give them the posture cup. Please see episode 1 if you haven't. The other thing is that you have to keep in mind that people aren't necessarily aware of your portfolio and what it is. And so you constantly want to be introducing things. So this idea, the piece of the puzzle is to introduce your product and make sure to introduce concepts that are important to your product. There is probably a point of view that your company has, that your product has, about what makes something good and what makes it bad. It is important that you bring someone into that worldview. We often talk about it as framing the sale, creating the boundaries of what they should be thinking about. When we're introducing stuff, that's what we're doing. We're dripping. So you're talking about new features that in the product that may be relevant to them, new ways in which you're serving customers that may be relevant or interesting to them, new types of technology that just straight up may be on the market. And oh, by the way, you guys are using it. That's not a bad strategy. Forwarding news articles and things like that about different things that are relevant to their industry and to your industry, and creating those conversation points. So we definitely want to introduce capabilities that may address their needs, particularly the new capabilities they don't know about or the capabilities that are in the other products. That's very important. Now, I have never had this happen, but people have told me that they maybe had a sour relationship with their champion, if you will. Certainly that's happened to me. Let's be honest. They get in there. Maybe it's the implementation team. Am I right? It's services. It's customer service. IT, they screwed it up for you. But now you're the salesperson or you're the product marketer. You have to figure out ways to get your little pod, your account strategy team has to figure out ways that you're going to continue to have the relationship, even though the person who bought it from you may not like you anymore. Or maybe they don't like the product and they're really interested in a different product. Or God forbid, they've left the company and you don't know anyone there. So this is where it comes down to go around. And the go around strategy is really sidestepping that person as
The
much as
person
you
who
can.
doesn't like you anymore.
Yeah, sidestep them. Avoid them. Like at a family get together where it's your weird uncle. I'm an uncle of many children. I'm the funkle, the fun uncle. My brother's the weird uncle. But
I believe that.
Yeah, I do too. I
You're
believe
like,
it
I do
firmly.
too.
But you want to go around. So maybe there's gatherings that you can do, trade fairs that you can do, or ways in which you can interact. You know the company's going to be there, so you reach out. You may have quarterly business meetings. Always a good idea to have a quarterly business meeting because you get more than just your stakeholder, your core stakeholder at that meeting. You get multiple people. Great opportunity to build those relationships.
And
So
I
finding
also feel
ways.
like you don't have to have a bad relationship or a soured relationship with your go-to person. That person can also introduce those other people, stakeholders, and then you can go around that relationship, that one relationship, and develop multiple relationships.
That is a huge point because, so we had an example where we had a client, not going to betray any confidences, but it was multinational. They had a team here. They had a team, I think, in Brazil. They had a team in Spain. And we wanted to be able to expand. But the person, our champion in the US, didn't really have any relationships with the team in Brazil or the team in Spain. And so we created context. We created presentations, rollouts, those kinds of things where those people would want to come. Mm-hmm. And in doing so, made inroads to the Brazilian team and the Spanish team. So that's not uncommon. We've also in companies that have multiple different verticals. And so, maybe they have, a science team and they have a history team, which we're going to use an example of. That's an example where they can be introducing you to other people. Maybe they don't have the purchasing relationship, but they can introduce you to the buyer in those areas. So you want to go around that initial relationship. And Sarah, I'm really glad you brought that up because it's important. The other two I want to talk a little bit really hit on kind of account-based marketing strategies, which is to say that you're trying to bring groups of decision makers together to create a mini marketing campaign and brand awareness inside the company, really soften it. And so maybe it's among the executive team. So you're working with the VP of product, you're working with the VP of product marketing, and you're working with the VP of sales. And you're finding ways to bring them together in discussions. So when we talk about creating gateways, what we're really talking about is finding creative ways to get them to talk about you with each other. We've done that in a lot of ways. It's now becoming more common for people to work out of the office, but back in the day, people used to work in offices. So we would send like donuts to one of our stakeholders and then tell the other potential stakeholders that person had donuts. So they all got together in one room and we're the reason, and they're eating donuts and they're all happy. And so there's a really positive, I swear to God, we did it and we totally closed the deal. But that's where it's like, you want to think about their relationships and their conversations they have with each other.
And feed them dopamine.
And dopamine hits. If the introduce was hits of like information and isn't that interesting, creating gateways is all about dopamine. So creating gateways, that's about the executives talking to each other. The creating a groundswell one is just what it almost sounds like. It's about almost like where you have a political campaign and you're growing a movement. This one, you focus on the users. And in the same way, it's really important to have that relationship with a champion and have that champion introducing you to other people that could be your champions. They're the buyers. They aren't necessarily a user. In some cases, they are the user, and that's wonderful. But they aren't necessarily the user. So you want to meet and you want to get to know users of your product in that company, because there's absolutely nothing better than a user from that company asking the company to pay for more of your products or to buy a different product from you. Mm-hmm. And so thinking creatively, maybe it's reposting some of their testimonials in social media, reaching out in different ways, doing events, having them run seminars about how to use the product and their experiences. So creating relationships with users and getting them to talk about the product. It could be on Reddit, it could be on Facebook, LinkedIn, or it could be in the cafeteria.
The whole influencer community.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Build influencers in this particular case. We often, as product marketers, are influencers. In that case, when it's coming to cross-sell, and we talk about creating that groundswell, we're talking about getting your influencers together and building that base of people who are love the product and are willing to talk about the product, are going to then go over to that group of people eating donuts and be like, oh, are you eating donuts because of that product? I use it. I love it. So these are 5 things we typically think about. And as I said, they're very, very B2B focused. There is a natural application to other types of sales. It's always about coming up with new ways of creating a relationship and doing an ongoing campaign of introducing new concepts and new products and new features to them, so the relationship deepens and they understand how deep and wide your portfolio of products are. The way that you're going to cross-sell is by convincing that group of people that the product's good, people like the product, users like the product, and there's more products they'll like if they use it. And so that's how you cross-sell better. Those are the 5 things we think about.
I like that.
Thank you. You're good at it. It is actually, it's a funny thing. If you, and we'll, as always, we'll post these templates on posture.consulting, our website and our blog. It is one of these things where if you just sit down and you brainstorm, even if it's with a couple of your colleagues, you can come up with some really harebrained ideas that might actually work. We did another one with the Groundswell one where we took users and we had them make selfie videos, just short ones, 30-second selfie videos. And then they emailed them to their boss. They wanted to do it because they wanted the product. They loved it. And we had a great relationship with them. But it's any little geeky thing that just demonstrates some sense of momentum. You want to be creating momentum in usage, in product knowledge, consciousness about your portfolio. So that's the way it rolls. Yeah. Sarah, do you want to talk about this one? So we kind of talked about the 5 kind of core basic pillars that we use when thinking about better cross-selling. And then I signaled we have one set of tools that we like in particular. And so this is going from strategic to straight tactical. But this is something that we've developed over the years that has been quite effective in terms of shaping the conversation. Right, Sarah?
Yes, yes. So this is our basic framework of how to approach a situation like this. How to find your opportunities, highlight your strengths, and how to uncover those through questions with your buyers. So this framework, even though it's linear, we kind of approach it kind of like a bookend. So we want to identify opportunities for your clients. So we'll focus on, okay, what are those opportunities we want to pull from, and then what are the strengths that we have in our products that we can use to help with our clients' pain points and setting up solutions. One thing that we need to do, and that we always do before we come up with this, is we do a competitive breakdown of all of the competitors of the products that our buyers might be using. And it's important to know this because when we highlight our strengths, in highlighting our strengths, we are also pointing out the competitor's weaknesses. And we need to know those first. We also don't want to ask any questions we don't already know the answer to. We don't want to ask about a pain point and then have our buyer be like, oh, well, but the person I'm currently with, or the company I'm currently with, actually does solve that for me, or solves it in a different way that we didn't think about. So we want to have all the information first, and then we can kind of work out in.
Yeah. So in between those two things, knowing what the opportunity is and being able to highlight your strengths, and as Sarah said, strengths grounded in the competitive landscape, grounded in reality. So you're actually talking about things that are really good about your product, but also differentiable. The thing that we do in between is just ask questions. So it gets back to that whole concept of, let's have that conversation. We're dripping out information. We're trying to find out pay points. We're trying to, kind of set up things. So there's two different types of questions. The first set of questions are about pain points. Now, you don't necessarily want to be like, so why do you hate that product?
Right. Yeah. Your pain point questions have to be kind of letting your buyer almost come to it themselves. Like, ask the questions that help set up their realization of, these, and, oh, this could be a good solution. Oh, since you mentioned that. And then,
I love the way you kind of frame that about being about self-discovery. In some ways, I mean, you didn't use those terms, but coming to the answer themselves. So you can, over time, be asking like, well, so you teed up the idea of, an e-learning company or a textbook company. Well, how do your teachers do this? Because it's a pain point, the competitor, who they're using. That's the nice thing about this situation. You're not going into a deal blind. If they're using a competitor, you may know who it is. Or you may just straight up, who are you using? If you don't know who it is, and then what kinds of questions about pain points. Well, does it irk you when they have to do this and such? Not too cheeky, but in a meaningful way, trying to understand like where are they struggling and what are their pain points. And so, to Sarah's point, coming to it themselves. So you don't have to say, ooh, that sounds like a horrible product. I can't imagine using it. I wouldn't use a product like that. Are you kidding me? It gives you shin splints? That sounds awful. My kids wouldn't learn that way. I don't know about yours.
I think your point about it being meaningful is so important, because you don't want to be cheesy, you don't want to be pushy. You want it to be authentic, and you want it to be genuine, and presenting it in a way that, okay, you have this problem, let us help you.
Right. Yeah, but at the same time, very targeted. Like, you're being intentional by asking that question. You don't want to have an entire conversation with someone every time you see them in which all you're doing is mining them for pain points. But when you see the entry into that part of the conversation, you want to mine them for pain points. And keep in mind, we do not mean this as being a sales enablement thing. Obviously, we do a lot of sales training. We've done plenty of sales enablement. This is more like, hey, sales leader, hey, product marketer, this is a process we're going to take you through that you can help your sales team do. And so part of that is that training around how do you ask a question that's off the cuff or seems like it's off the cuff? How do you continue the conversation from one meeting to another about pain points? So that's thing one, is start asking them about things that are annoying or not going so well.
Or how they do a certain thing, because talking about how they do it might raise those pain points and might open the door to ask a question about, well, what if you could do this? Would that help? Well, we do that.
We do that. Oh, that's interesting, because we do it. Well, that's the second bank of questions. Straight up is solution questions. And to Sarah's point, these are the ones that set up your strengths. These are the alley-oop ones where you've also got an answer to it. So and you should think about mapping them. Pain point. Well, what if what if it could do this? Would that be better? What if you had this many licenses? Would you have under budget? Would that be the issue? Could be economic issues. It could be technology issues. What if it worked on iPads? Would you like it better then? I would imagine a lot of people use their iPad. And the whole point about those questions is it's again kind of softening the playing field so that when you, I don't even know if that's a saying or not, because it seems like you'd want a hard playing field if you're going the pitch, and it's the up on the pitch. It's awfully soft. If you're in the United Kingdom right now, I apologize for that. But the point is, the solution questions are the questions that you know you can answer particularly well, and they tee up your strengths. And then you do want to be serving up those strengths, as Sarah kind of pointed out. That's where you're starting from.
Yeah, and we usually present these not in a format by itself, but within the battle cards. So with one of our clients, we gave them battle cards for each of their competitors, and then also gave them this framework that was very specific and targeted to those other players. And we had their battle card, their feature set, and then their cross-sell strategy directly for that player.
And their pitch deck. Yeah.
And their pitch,
customizable pitch deck. That's, I mean, if you're doing account-based marketing or something like that, you're going to want to try and make that pitch deck as close to customized as possible. At least that's the way I think about it. But yeah, I mean, this is a package deal. And so we kind of built out this, and it's a bank of questions. Mm-hmm. You know, not everyone is the most creative in the world. Some people are super creative. So getting a bunch of people together and brainstorming pain point questions or solution questions, and just bank up, like create a bank that you put in your sales handbook, or as Sarah mentioned, we did do battle cards that were these. So we called them cheat sheets. And then we also had the competitive battle card, and we had the pitch deck, and we had the cross-sell strategy.
We also use these not only in the battle cards, but when we put together an entire sales guide for their portfolio or their products as a whole, in that guide, we had a breakdown of their product, the messaging architecture, objection handling. We had the value pillars, all of those things in their sales guide. And then at the end, took all of these cheat sheets and put them in there for all of the major competitors, so that it could always be referenced. We could give that to them immediately. And then on top of that, the competitive breakdown battle cards, we gave them those as well, and use these in that product.
Yeah. It's good to have, you know, a bank of questions in this format that are general. Like we know these are what our strengths are and stuff like that. It's great, as Sarah just said, if you can do it on a competitor by competitor basis, because those, you know, their value propositions, strengths and weaknesses, stuff like that, obviously they change from competitor to competitor. So how you match up is not going to be the same all the time. Now, you may be completely disruptive, and isn't that wonderful? I wish I worked for your company. But the fact of the matter is there's going to be some differences there. And the real value here for your sales team is that grab and go. Like, it's the same with a battle card. It's the same with the messaging sheet. Grab and go. I don't need to think too much about it. Oh, they just mentioned this company. And the one that we've got here is we are a history company. What is it? Is Edwell or something like that?
Learn well. It's Learn Well, Jason. Learn well.
Yeah. Yes. So it's a company
hypothetical
that does
company. It's not
a hypothetical company. Yes.
Like our audio, our podcast audio editors.
Yes. For those of you who saw that episode. But it's an ed tech, and you know, your school has the history textbook, and you want to sell them the science textbook. But this other Forma Ed, really horrible education company. We hate them. They're the enemy. Forma Ed, also hypothetical. uh, currently has the science. They're
Yeah.
selling science. So you got to displace pharma ed. So that's how we're going to do it. And you'll know that we did, obviously we keep on saying it. Start with what you know about pharma ed.
Mhm.
That's your context. Then look at your strengths. In comparison to pharma ed, those are your strengths. And then walk back to solution questions, pain point questions. And as I said, this is a bank of questions. You could have, I probably wouldn't do more than 5 or 6, but you could easily have 20 questions if people, it's a long sales cycle and you know that they have to have long involved conversations over time on, with some frequency. So they need a lot more resource and support. But if it's short sales cycles, you don't really need hugely bigly differences in terms of the bank of questions. You could have 3 to 5 or whatever. So if we take a look at this spread, basically we organized it as a spreadsheet. We started with the strengths and then we moved back to pain points and solutions. So just, for example, it's hypothetical, but we've got this strength about customizing things to your classroom. So a pain point question might be something about how teachers are editing their products. Do they have to ever edit these things? Is that a problem for you? Do you like it when your teachers edit them? A good solution question then is about if it would be reassuring to you as the buyer, or in the case of education, maybe a district superintendent, to know that any tweaks or edits the teachers are using were standards aligned. So we're part of the curriculum and that they were on curriculum and you don't have to worry about that. And then, of course, you can introduce that strength again, that it's about being always aligned to standards and stuff like that. So, we just kind of went through a number of different things. As I mentioned, those templates will be there and available for you. If this is helpful to you and you are a salesperson, we love that. Like, subscribe, share, comment. Hopefully this is a tool that you can implement. If you are on the side of the business that is doing the sales enablement, this is one of these things where really doing some thought around the content that's in these questions and the way that they position the sale really makes it a successful tool. If you're just throwing some questions that are agitational out there, that's the way you roll. Do that, but it's not going to be as effective as if you know the competition, the product very, very well, and you can think through those types of questions that will uncover their pain points and also set up a discussion about why your solution is better, solves their pain points, and is a strong opportunity or a strong fit for their needs. So as always, thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate your support. We hope that you keep on listening. If you haven't checked out our other 4 episodes, they are posted on our channel as well. And again, like, subscribe, comment, and share. Going back to that question of freemium or paywalls, what's the most annoying paywall that you ever experienced in an app that you're using? Please don't mention cat apps. That's a little bit something, something. Other than that, have a great day and thanks for your time.
Bye.
Bye.